Welcome back to Skopje for the second half of Europe District. I'm now standing in front of the landmark of the Macedonian capital, the Stone Bridge. Now, this city was almost entirely destroyed after an earthquake in 1963. 50 years later, as you can see around me, the capital remains very much under construction, with several grand official buildings being erected along the Varda River, a project which has proved quite controversial here in the capital. In this part of the show, we'll continue our journey. We'll tell you why Macedonia has become a magnet for Greek shopping tourists. We'll also travel to the old city of Ohrid with its well-preserved city centre and beautiful lake. But first, relations between the majority Macedonians and ethnic Albanians, who make up over a quarter of the population, remain fragile. This after a 2001 peace deal ended an armed conflict between Albanian rebels and government security forces. Nowadays, Albanians enjoy new rights, as Valérie Labonne found out in the city of Tetovo in the west of the country.
The bell has just rung at this primary school in Tetovo. Pupils are getting ready for lessons, and picking the right classroom is important.
This is the class in Macedonian. That one there is taught in Albanian.
If 20% of a city's population speaks a language other than Macedonian, that language must be taught in schools. Here, in the country's second largest city, more than 3/4 of the population identify as Albanian. The principal has to manage classes in 2 different languages.
Language is an obstacle, especially for Macedonians, because they speak very little Albanian. Albanian children speak better Macedonian because they have classes in that language.
Just a decade ago, the country was on the brink of civil war. In January 2001, ethnic Albanian rebels launched an insurgency against the Macedonian state. They claimed they were being treated as second-class citizens. On the 13th of August 2001, a peace agreement put an end to the conflict. The deal gave more rights to ethnic Albanians, who represent a quarter of the country's population. They got fairer representation in parliament and more autonomy, especially at the local level. But authorities in Tetovo say there's still a long way to go.
Decentralization isn't enforced when it comes to sharing power with local authorities. In Tetovo, they didn't help us with sports, military or cultural infrastructures, but in other towns where the city halls are Macedonian, they gave them money. We are still waiting.
A feeling of injustice shared by the other Albanian party in the country, even though it's part of the ruling coalition.
There is this banal argument which I hear quite often from our partners, who say that Albanians in the region have gained enough. They already have 2 independent states, Albania and Kosovo. So this should satisfy the appetites of the Albanians. However, the reality is that the Albanian population in Macedonia is indigenous.
To make matters worse, the government has launched a major construction project celebrating eternal Macedonia. Behind Skopje's citadel, in the middle of the capital's mainly Muslim Albanian neighbourhood, the building of a church-like museum has revived old ethnic tensions.
It is not acceptable that in a multi-ethnic state, which is still only 10 years after an ethnic conflict, a political party invests the money of the people, the money from the budget, to construct an identity which does not reflect the actual identity of the state.
Whether just a tactless move or real provocation, the issue shows the tensions between both communities are alive and well. An end to discrimination remains a dream for many, a dream that EU membership and its protection of minorities could make true. But with the current government holding on tight to its nationalistic values, that prospect seems to be moving even further away.
The Macedonian industry suffered a serious blow following the disintegration of Yugoslavia and the closing of the markets. Currently, over a third of the population is unemployed, but with its sound fiscal policies, the government is hoping to attract more foreign investors to the country. We'll meet Victor Mizo, he's the head of Invest in Macedonia. Victor Mizo, hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you very much. Who are the main foreign investors in Macedonia?
Considering the world economic and financial crisis that has taken place over the last couple of years, certainly our job has become much more difficult. But it's very interesting to do the analysis of the investors here. First of all, the natural monopolies and the privatization process. Companies from Germany, Austria, a lot of investment from Greece has actually come in over this period. And over the last couple of years, the focus in greenfield investment, we see a lot of Anglo-Saxon companies.
One of the biggest challenges here in your country is tackling unemployment. What do you think should be done?
Yes, the unemployment on paper is very high. It is somewhere in the low 30s in terms of percentages. Most of that unemployment is structural unemployment, which was inherited back from the transition period. Foreign companies coming into Macedonia certainly will give a hope to a lot of people that are studying, especially in the technical fields, in terms of what the future can hold for them. The know-how and the technical development that comes with those type of companies directly will create need for a lot of local companies to be suppliers.
Your country is also seeking to attract so-called shopping tourists.
Yes, it's very interesting, especially in the border regions between Macedonia and Greece. A lot of Greek citizens are coming to Macedonia, first of all for shopping, regular supermarket shopping as well, because the cost of many of these goods, including services, especially in the medical sector, for example, dental work is much cheaper in Macedonia than in Greece, and I believe the quality is very high that they are more than willing to come and utilize this in Macedonia.
Victor Mizo, head of Invest Macedonia, thank you very much. Well, as you heard, an increasing number of so-called shopping tourists travel every day to the country, particularly in the border region with Greece, as our reporter Magali Faure found out.
Welcome to Bitola, the country's third city, 15 kilometres to the north of the Greek border. Every day, on average, 1,000 Greeks cross over, mainly to do their shopping. In this supermarket on the side of the road, 4 clients out of 5 are Greek.
I buy fruits, vegetables, cosmetics, pretty much everything, in fact.
Here, prices are about 30% cheaper. The gap has been widened by the budget crisis in Greece. In 1 year, the Greek government has raised VAT 3 times. With a rate of 23%, it's amongst the highest in Europe. For petrol stations in the region of Bitola, these tax hikes in Greek are a blessing.
Of course, this has an impact on our turnover. Thanks to Greek customers, our sales of petrol and other products are increasing every day.
At €1.25 a litre, compared with €1.60 in Greece, the journey is worth it.
I save €15 every time I fill up my tank. It's not that much, but coming here is also a pleasant trip.
Boutiques, cafes, cheap restaurants. Most Greek people make a day of it. Many, women especially, use the opportunity to pamper themselves.
They come for pedicure, manicure, for facial treatments, for massage, waxing. It's cheaper. And after that, maybe for quality and good service.
Good prices and quality, that's also what Bitola's dentists are famous for. Pantelis owns a dairy farm on the Greek side of the border. He always comes here for his dental work.
It's this one that hurts, especially when I drink something cold.
In Greece, the national health insurance doesn't cover most dental treatments. Here, private practices offer prices which are up to 10 times cheaper for the same treatments.
Cheap price, the main reason. Then they have good treatment too. Actually the same treatment we can find in Greece.
A quality based on excellent training. The country has 4 renowned faculties of dentistry in Skopje, Tetovo and Štip.
Here, studying stomatology or medicine is a tradition that goes back to before the Second World War, and that has been encouraged through the years of former Yugoslavia.
The prospect of Greek clients attracts young graduates to the south of the country. As a result, Bitola has the highest number of dentists per capita. And even if prices go up in anticipation of EU membership, they expect to keep attracting foreign patients.
This is the old bazaar of Skopje. The old Ottoman market is now a place full of restaurants and bars. But in the next story, we'll meet Milcho Manchevski, the film director. He's nothing short of a superstar in his country. His film Before the Rain won the Golden Lion in Venice in 1994. He's just released Mothers. Manchevski shares his time between New York and Skopje. We met him in the Macedonian capital.
Milcho Manchevski claimed a spot among the great directors of his generation with his first film, Before the Rain. His tale of love amid violence between Muslims and Orthodox Christians struck a chord as Yugoslavia was being torn apart by ethnic conflicts.
I'm glad that people took it as a commentary on how ugly ethnic hatred can be and how destructive it can be. And how easy it might be sometimes to escalate a tense situation into violence.
Having studied filmmaking in the US, he settled down in New York after an unsuccessful stint back home. But his native country has never been far from his thoughts. All 4 of his movies are set at least partly in his motherland. Manchevski also directed Macedonia Timeless, a video promoting the country as a travel destination. But the role of ambassador of Macedonian culture is something the director is not always comfortable with.
A funny thing happened. A lot of people saw themselves or saw a projection of themselves and their environment in my films, which is flattering. But at the same time, then you have to carry the burden of their expectations of how they want to be seen in the mirror or on the screen. And sometimes it's difficult to be a shrink to 2 million people.
His latest film, Mothers, could be seen as a reflection of his country, a melting pot of characters searching for their truth, their identity. But the director himself believes he may be done with Macedonia. He says the creative climate there has become toxic.
If pressed to boil down to one sentence, one could call them a parochial mindset, nepotism and lack of clear professional attitude and good management.
Even so, far from the constraints of Hollywood and with a strong reputation among independent filmmakers, Manchevski will never want for locations to shoot his future films.
We've travelled to the old site of Ohrid. Macedonians will tell you, if you haven't seen Ohrid, you haven't seen Macedonia. With its well-preserved city centre and beautiful lake, this place embodies the spirit of the nation. Now, Jordan Plevnes, our guide, is waiting for us in the historic centre of the city. Mr. Plevnes, hello.
Hi, Christophe. Welcome in Macedonia.
Thank you very much. Nice meeting you. Now, you're one of Macedonia's most celebrated authors, and you chose to meet us in this old amphitheatre.
This amphitheatre is the center of my life, because only in this amphitheatre you can see the chronology of the European memory. We had here the wars of Sophocles and the gladiators even in the Roman period, you know.
And of course the gladiators are long gone, but nowadays, once again, this place serves to host cultural events.
Yes, because Ohrid Summer Festival is one of the oldest in Europe. We celebrate last year 50th anniversary, and we had this wonderful moment, 2001. Peter Brook sent a message for reopening, because Peter Brook is a great Ohridophile.
Jordan, Ohrid is a city of 55,000 people, but it's got over 300 churches.
Yes, even 365, one for each day. In Ohrid we say, no day without church.
No day without church. And this is one of the most beautiful churches, obviously.
Yes, this is the mother of all churches.
Saint Sophia.
Saint Sophia, yes. This is the center of the spiritual life. The angel of Sveta Sofia is the reference of European painting. But you can see also the portrait of the martyr of the Orthodoxy and the Pope of Rome. Saint Sophia brings together Orthodox and Catholics.
Jordan, you've brought us to your favorite place here in Ohrid, Aquarius.
Yes, Aquarius is a famous aperitif bar, and during the summer you can even swim in the lake. Even sometimes I ride here because I take this table and I'm alone with the lake. You know, Christophe, this is the wonderful way to discover the beauty of this lake, to see the mountains. And this is the Mediterranean space, and there is a legend from the ancient time, and the legend said everywhere in the Mediterranean space you can eat the figs. This is the Mediterranean. Here is Mediterranean.
So you don't need a sea to be happy.
Absolutely.
You've got your lake.
Absolutely.
Well, Jordan Plevnes, thank you very much for being our guide here in Ohrid, in Macedonia. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you very much, Christophe.
As you said, do gledania.
Do gledania. See you in Ohrid.
See you soon.
Do gledania.
Thank you for watching this edition of Europe District. We'll be back next month. We'll travel to Serbia. In the meantime, if you want to watch our programs, you can log on to our website. It's france24.com. From all of us here, goodbye.